head-on all issues is the PCSO chief himself. Good morning, I am Attorney Karen Jimeno, and we're taking you at the forefront. From expanded medical aid and transport programs to proposed reforms in lottery taxation, the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office has moved forward amid both progress and scrutiny. While navigating public expectations, it also faces lingering questions tied to controversies that trace back to a time before the current leadership began. How does PCSO sustain its momentum while carrying the weight of both legacy issues and present responsibilities? With us this morning is the Chief of PCSO, Mel Robles. Good morning, GM Mel.
Good morning, Karen. Nice to be here again.
Well, let's start first with your proposed reforms. You are proposing the reduction of the documentary stamp tax on lotto tickets. What would be the impact of that reduction?
Well, that would be a lot because, you know, when PCSO's charter was framed about 91 years ago, there was no intention of making it a revenue generator. Whereas now, we are a very big contributor. Not that we don't like to contribute, but we have a bigger target, which is charity. We're the only government agency tasked to conduct charity, mostly medical, but this is where all our money goes. In fact, we don't mind giving to universal health care. 40%, by the way, of our charity fund goes to the universal health care. Just to give you an idea what's the basis of what I'm saying, that we were never envisioned to be an income generator for the government. Our charter states that of all the gross earnings that we make, 55% goes to winnings, 30% to charity, and 15% goes to OPEX. So there is no mention there because it was never envisioned. But it was already there. So
is it different from PAGCOR in a sense that PCSO is not meant to contribute to the revenue of the government?
Well, PAGCOR, as I understand, has only 5% tax. So that's where you see the disparity. In PCSO, the moment you bet, sabi nga, nangangarap ka pa lang, may buwis ka na. The moment you bet, you're slapped with a documentary stamp of tax of
how much is that?
20%.
20% of the amount that you're betting?
Yes, every 20 pesos that you bet, 4 pesos of that goes immediately to government. And then when you win, you get another 20, the government gets another 20%. So you can see the disparity of how it is with PCSO and PAGCOR. But, you know, it really hampers our capability or reduces our capacity to conduct charity. And that's why we came up with the slogan, ang PCSO ay hindi umuurong sa pagtulong. Despite all this, we call it hurdles, these challenges, we cannot back down from the challenge of helping our countrymen, especially now. We have all kinds of problems coming up. We would like to be in support of the President's social program. But of course, we can suggest some.
Yes.
Like, for example, I spoke with Secretary Recto. I haven't formalized this, though, that instead of the 20% documentary stamps, why not make it 10, and the 10, you add it on a tax on winning. Nobody would mind paying when you already won, di ba?
Yeah, so you mean still further increase the taxes on winning to more than 20%? That's quite high already.
Well, but it's just like moving 10 from the documentary stamps to the winnings, you know. And it becomes lighter to the better, even to PCSO, because we don't mind sharing when we already won, but can you imagine paying when you haven't even won anything?
Yeah.
For
example, it's really an added cost to just buying the tickets.
Yes, and you know, unlike other games, PCSO is is a passive gaming. It is the community playing, putting all their money together for, of course, for winning, but for a bigger purpose, which is charity. And it has been this way for the last 91 years. So this is how we are different. We are
It's almost like a
passive gaming.
raffle, right? Like you buy a
Yes,
ticket
exactly.
and then whoever wins, it's someone from your pool.
Exactly.
So anyone who bought from
I
that pool
always
as
say
well,
it's a
right?
community playing.
Yeah.
It's a game not by individuals. It's a game, while the benefit could be an individual, or depending on how many won, you can have, well, like when I was in 2022, there were 300 winners. Can you imagine that? One jackpot and 344 winners, to be exact.
So maraming nakinabang.
Maraming
yes.
nakinabang.
So, but GML, the government is currently running at a deficit. Has this been, based on your discussion with Secretary Recto, is this something that they're open to?
Well, we're supposed to, I don't know what happened, but we're supposed to get a benefit because even the stock market had a reduction. Horse racing had a reduction. We're the only ones who haven't had a reduction in the tax, and we're the only ones tasked to do charity. But we will persevere. We will not give up on our desire to, give us a little tax relief. I'm not even talking about the relief. If they could only just transfer 10%. This was very recently. 2018 was when these taxes came about. It's not really something that the government depends on.
Yeah.
But, it still goes to government, so we really don't mind. But we're just asking for a little relief
From that
yes.
rate. And then, is this something you've studied based on 2018? Do you need legislation, or would this only require a circular from the Bureau of Internal Revenue?
Taxation always requires legislation. So while these were legislated, my only concern is that our charter remains the same. Our charter should be responsive. For example, the revenue allocation, there was a mention of taxation. So which do we follow? Our charter or the taxes that had been imposed upon us?
Well, this might be something that you can raise if it's a question of law to the Supreme Court. If it goes back to the charter of the
There are
PCSO.
moves to do that. In fact, can you imagine the disparity of taxes between another gaming agency like PAGCOR? I've been getting proposal that we can challenge that. Same industry, different taxation. So they say that there is a legal infirmity on that. So I don't know. We're not into that yet, but we might consider if there is a good reason to.
So you might look
an
into that
option.
as
That's
an
an
option.
option.
Meron ba kayo nakikitang resistance or hadlang sa panukala nyo mula sa ibang opisina ng gobyerno?
Well, number one is the Department of Finance.
So based on that meeting with Secretary Recto, wala pa silang sinabi if they're open to it?
We're supposed to have some relief, but we didn't have any. But so I suggested again. We hope, no? Hope springs eternal, Karen. So we're not losing hope.
Well, apart from your challenges when it comes to the tax rate, there's also e-games that has been a competitor. What can you say about all the other types of games like sabong, e-sabong, or scatter?
Well, these are, to me, looking from a gaming perspective, the worst is the scatter. I'm not talking about the game, but the effects of it. It's unregulated. It causes addiction, gambling addiction, and there are a lot of scatter games that are not registered.
Can you describe to us, GML? Like, personally, for me, I'm not so familiar with how scatter works.
Well, I'm not a gamer too, but from the looks of it, from what I heard, it's like a slot machine. And in fact, it can play by itself. So you have a wallet, an e-wallet, then you can sleep and it plays by itself.
So, ganun kabilis maubos yung pera.
Yes.
You can be sleeping and then
it's
basta laro
randomly
siya.
generated numbers, and that when you wake up, maybe you're richer or maybe you're poorer, but I'm sure most of the time.
Why is this not regulated?
Well, because I heard there are legal scatter games, and there are also illegal scatter games. That is where the problem lies. Which one is legal and which one is illegal? I really don't.
And for the players, there's no way to determine whether the specific scatter game they're playing is legal or illegal.
I'm sure they don't bother anymore, especially if, an algorithm can be can be deceiving sometimes, no? Especially if you're unregulated. No? But to me, there must always, government should always be conscious about two things: regulation and then responsible gaming.
But GML,
This should be a mantra, responsible gaming.
responsible
which we do.
gaming. And is this something that the government is promoting?
We are. We are. If you do betting in succession, you are promoting, of course, addiction. Of course, the bottom line will improve. But there is a danger to that. You can be a victim of your own success. We have seen Isabong, a victim of their own success. Because it's unregulated. Of course, no matter what KYC you say, they have access there. Unlike us, we are very strict with KYC. You cannot, even if your parent is in the car, and then the kid comes and shows to his parent, I'm being asked by my father who's driving, you can't park, and you're not allowed.
By KYC, you mean know your customer. You make sure you do.
Know your client. And if he's a minor, definitely you won't sell to them.
Are you able to measure how much revenues get lost from PCSO because of the online games, e-games, or, well, I don't even know if you can measure alin doon ang illegal at legal. So generally na lang yung e-games.
I can give you an example. I think we're the only one agency running after illegal games, suing them. In fact, suing them.
Really suing them?
Yes.
So when you discover an illegal game, nagsasampa kayo ng kaso.
Yes,
Where do you file it? Sa
in the RTC courts, in the Mandaluyong courts. You know, it's tough really to build a case. You know that, you're a lawyer. It's tough building a case, and these guys are loaded. There's one company we sued, or actually two. One company made 4.7 billion based on the payment platform. In 14 months, they made 4.7 billion.
Oh, wow.
No taxes. And so we sued them. It's really a slow grind, but at least we're doing it. Even lotto games are being copied and pirated. Our results are being used, and they collect their own betting.
So there's also fake lotto.
300 sites we discovered. Now, we cannot classify
Have you, 300, ang dami. Have you been able to close any of those fake lotto
that.
sites?
We're suing a couple now also, apart from what I told you. And we hope that the DOJ will be a little cooperative. It's really...
But when you say a little cooperative, does that mean hindi sufficient?
In the side of what is right, I mean, there should be really a drive that it's more lenient, let's say, lowering of the bail bond. No, it doesn't. It encourages. There are some moves that encourages illegal gambling.
Well,
so
if
difficult
they're
to
loaded,
prosecute.
yeah, if they're loaded, is there? Well, let's be realistic. Is there also a risk that they're able to, get leniency from the prosecution, from the justice system?
Yeah. Well, do you know that there are more convictions in human trafficking than illegal gambling?
Well, there's more money there, but so is that the current state of things? Mahirap i-prosecute, nahihirapan din tayo.
Maybe kulang ang batas, or I don't know, but we're really having a hard time. But we're not giving up, because I believe that illegal gambling is the gateway crime.
Yeah, illegal gambling, which is, I think, the same reason why the president decided to just make pogos illegal. It's because of the supposedly the impacts.
Could be. You start with illegal gambling. You bribe everybody. Then you see their money is the same. So from illegal gambling, why not go to illegal drugs? Anyway, it's the same people who you make friends with. Then probably go into kidnapping, assassination. It's the same people. It's the same money.
Well, recently, GML, there's an allegation that there are missing people that were murdered and put under Taal Lake because of Sabong. What is your action to that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Illegal gambling is the gateway crime. Next, then you're going to run for a political office. See? So that is all. If there is a narco-politics, there's also gaming politics. We've seen that. We've seen those who are brought back to the country. No? So they're all illegal gambling.
Well, GML, you have also personal relationships with the First Lady. that you have the direct access to them, na bring up nyo na po ba na perhaps we need tougher legislation or we need reforms to curb illegal gambling?
Yeah, well, for the president in an informal, I told him that it's very difficult, and I think he also observed that, yeah, the legislation is not enough. So we'll try to lobby for that. There are a lot. Our charter has to be updated. Imagine 91 years ago, there was no concept of e-gaming. It's all about the sweepstakes. So I don't even have to imagine that sweepstakes can be digital, can be. So there will be a lot. Tougher laws on illegal gambling. But I really wish if there could be a consciousness that for the revenues, if we're after the revenues, let's go after these guys.
The illegal
Because they're not
ones.
paying anything.
Yeah, exactly. They're not able to, like, they can operate without paying taxes. Ano po yung magplano yung gagawin ngayon? Because we have 3 years left under this administration. How can you start curbing illegal gambling and making sure that they can be regulated to pay the right taxes?
Administratively, there are suggestions like PAGCOR or PCSO should only use one payment platform, their own payment platform for gaming. Thereby, anybody who bets outside of that gaming platform is illegal. That's a very sound suggestion for me, and I'd like to pursue that. Because the enabler of illegal gambling are really the payment platforms. They're making a lot of money, unregulated. Of course, they're businessmen, but a government should intervene. We really should. This is wasted revenue. We're looking at very easy because the enablers are the payment platform.
Have you thought about calling for a congressional inquiry on this?
Well, could be, but that's a legislative. But I believe that an administrative action can cure this
Kaya at
faster,
the administrative level.
because there is a regulator for the payment platforms. In fact, when we pressed a little, pushed harder on the payment platform, when I told you we filed cases, we said, okay, you're not going to reveal to us the details of the transaction. We'll just include you in our charge sheet. They cooperated. But, it should be a policy that these payment platforms shouldn't be used for gaming, whether legal or illegal, because that is where the illegals come in. That's funny. All this illegal gaming of PCSO, of the lottery, they have an app. They're allowed by iOS and what's the other one for
Android.
Android. Yeah. They have the app there. They start as broadcasting our results, so they get an app. But inside that, they insert something. Now you can bet. But that wasn't the intention when they applied. Okay, so there are hundreds of them now. They use front as results. So they
Pang
broadcast
PCSO results
yes,
supposedly.
Yes. And then there's
Okay.
they tweak it, then you can bet there. Okay. I said, my goodness, why don't we do it ourselves?
Yeah.
Why don't we do it? Then we applied. And then we were denied.
And this is an application
Yes.
to
Carry.
Oo.
We'll just copy what they do.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll just broadcast.
But who denied the application
Well,
to do that app?
the App Store and the Play Store. You
That's
imagine that?
interesting, yeah.
This is crazy. Hey, that's our game.
Oo nga.
That's too much already. You're not allowed. Well, we're the legal wife here.
So walang remedy for that?
I'm not losing hope. Again, we're all... I think there is. If we will just be tougher, we can, but it's just really the commitment to pursue it. It's very difficult and it's very lucrative. These two are the very dangerous elements.
What has been the impact on the financials of PCSO? Are you seeing a year-on-year decline in revenues?
Right now, I think the lotto, as it is, it can be affected. But I am getting reports that it is the small town lottery who are being hit by the likes of scatter. Because even it used to be a poor man's game, the small town lottery, the STL. That's where the people go. Now, in the tricycle terminals, they do scatter. which is more dangerous because you play every minute. In the small town lottery, you play 3 times a day. So you
Yung
bet
mga-
and you forget, and you
Yeah.
do your own thing.
Yeah.
In this kind of games, they're engaging. So until you have money left,
You keep playing.
You keep
It's
on
really
playing.
addictive.
yes.
But GML, you can easily catch siguro kung sino yung mga scatter providers if it's so widespread. Bakit
I
wala
think
pang
we can,
napapasara?
but you need prosecution. I told you, the laws probably are lax and it's very lucrative. You add that together, and you'll get paralysis on the part of everybody. Really difficult.
E-Lotto, that's something that I think has been proposed? What is the status of coming up with E-Lotto for the PCSO?
Well, e-lotto is not really a game. It's just a payment platform. It's like if you pay me cash, I'll pay you GCash. It's as simple as that. But our oversight agencies in charge of us are still studying it. So we submit to that.
Are there any restrictions in the charter of the PCSO because it's outdated?
Yeah, there's none.
If it was crafted 90 years ago, then wala pa talagang
Yes.
computers during that time. So
Yes.
are you allowed to have online
Again, I'll pretend to be a
sweepstakes?
lawyer.
Yes.
If it's not prohibited, it is
allowed?
allowed.
Oo,
See?
so may ganun kayong, at least so far, parang walang restriction. Well, how can they have restrictions? Wala namang computer dati, no? So, bakit hindi nyo pa ginagawa yun, yung online
Again,
sweepstakes? Yeah.
we submit nga to our oversight, the agencies that supervise us.
What agencies supervise PCSO?
We're under the office of the president. So if they say wag muna, then wag muna. Of course, we have to convince them that what I just said, that if it's not prohibited, then it must be allowed. So we're in that stage of convincing them.
Okay. But was the PCSO affected by the massive reset that was initiated by President Bongbong Marcos? Did you have to also tender a resignation?
Yes, every one of us, from the board to me. And I think it's good because, in fact, it should be done every year to file. Because you could, number one, it instills to you the consciousness that you're a political appointee, you can go anytime, which personally, I do that. Every time I wake up, I'm only good for this day. Because if you fall in love with your job, that's the problem. You shouldn't fall in love with your job. You should be committed and dedicated, but don't fall in love with your job. You have to be ready to go anytime.
As far as PCSO is concerned, have you had any resignations that were accepted?
None so far.
Pero wala pang news on retention as well?
Wala pa rin. I'm the only one that was published with the retention.
But for the rest, the board, wala
The board,
pa?
wala pa.
And yung sa PCSO po, you've also been active in distributing patient transport vehicles. Why did PCSO choose this specific program?
Traditionally, we are known for that. But I think this is the direct activity that will bring the government to the people, especially those who are sick. Remember COVID? They ran out of vehicles to use. They were using tricycles, even kariton to, the cart, push carts, they use it. So we really made this a program so that our countrymen can feel the actual presence of government when they are there. Mobility is very important. Timely mobility is very important. Timely movement of patient to the nearest hospital is very important. In fact, we have already distributed more than 600 ambulances. We have already exceeded what the past administration had done as far as distribution of ambulances. And because we want all municipalities in the Philippines, we're targeting 100%.
For all the LGUs?
All about 1,400, 1,500 municipalities. Because the cities, we put them at the end of the priority because they can afford. But the municipalities, 4th, 5th class, 6th class municipalities,
so you target the poorest first.
Yes.
That's good. And nakita nyo po ba, na-track din nyo yung results as to whether there were improvements in lives saved because of this patient transport vehicles.
Yes, yes, and we were happy that there was one incident that it responded to an emergency. So these things that make you feel good because it, in fact, using and it was achieving what it was intended to do. That makes you happy, and of course, that is always the instruction of the President, for us to bring the services directly to the people.
So for now, your target is to complete all the municipalities, and then after that, are you going to change programs and deliver something else?
We're looking at why not give them another one, an aspiration. Because if it were an emergency vehicle, then it shouldn't be out of service. You must have a spare. Where the second one is an aspiration. But the reality is now, this year, we're going to distribute for the rest of the country. So we're confident we can do that. And if we do that, we'll go for the second round so that they have these are emergency vehicles. They break down, they get
service and everything, so may backup, magkaka-backup
if
sila.
it's really an emergency, then it should not have any reason not to respond.
Okay.
And nababangga, ganyan.
Yes. Earlier this year, rumors spread about a PCSO database breach. What happened back then? What really happened there? But before you answer that question, we'll have to take a short break. At the Forefront, we'll be right back. Welcome back at the Forefront. GML, earlier this year, there was a rumor about a database breach in PCSO. What really happened there?
Well, when we learned about it, of course, we have to investigate what really is this. And this is what we found out. No? There was a group among us, the branches, they were given emails. No? And there is a default email there, a password. And medyo tinamad, hindi binago yung password. And the password was, I think, 000. So it's not very hard to remember.
Yeah.
So while they were using it, of course, somebody tried that default password. They were able to come in. Email ito, ha? It's just the email. So there's nothing about the system. But you really have to give it to these hackers. They really thought they found a gold mine, but they only got the password of an email. Of one of the branches.
Of one of the branches of PCSO.
Of PCSO. So they transmit, of course, what the activities are. They don't have names, they don't have data. But we were really threatened. Oh, we will reveal this, we will that. We know you will. There's too much of Netflix. There's too much of Netflix. I said, okay, go ahead. Do your worst. We'll wait for it. Nothing. They were really threatening me.
Oh, so they were just trying to extort money.
Maybe for a system, I don't know. Because surprisingly, there are a lot of security systems coming in, making an offer. I said, relax, it's just an email by our branch who was not very diligent in doing their job of changing the password. So, yeah.
Okay, so there was really at least no serious leak of any information
Nothing.
or data about
no
customers.
Data. They were just reports of who won a liquidation. Oh, we had a promo. These are the names who received the promo. You just have to report that.
For that specific branch only?
Yes, only for the specific
so did you
branch.
do anything after that incident to beef up at least the protocols and then the cybersecurity within PCSO?
Well, we just check at the extent, and when because it's very strict, really, it's really very strict. Because if you can hack our system, and you would think that you can hack the jackpot, then maybe you can have the jackpot as your reward. No, but really, it's not that easy. Especially, we are using a live draw, and even if they talk about the root access, it doesn't change it. It's a live draw. The moment the numbers are chosen, it's out there already. So this is the difference between random numbers generated, which is very suspicious. For others, for us, it's there with a lot of people watching. So even the winners, they are not kept online. The data on the winners especially, they're not kept on a computer that's online. It's really there. It's there for the COA and maybe for any oversight bodies to see. We really have that data, but it's not accessible online. So you're assured there. In fact, we wanted to have a contest. We're talking about the hackers competition, if you can hack our system. I was talking some time ago. You do this in Singapore, just to test their system, the vulnerability.
Yes.
So we're planning to have it hacked. You'll go do your best worldwide. Come on, hack our system. But you have to...
But you're very confident that hindi mahahack yung system ninyo in order to manipulate the winners.
Oh, definitely. Maybe you can, but you'll get caught immediately. Immediately, because it's already part. The live draw is very is the thing that is the deterrent there. The moment you see it, that's it. You can never change that.
And what was the rationale behind this 200 million peso lotto draw broadcast deal with IBC13 that was inked last March 2025?
Oh, it's a deal where they cover, produce, and broadcast which was in fact cheaper than the earlier contract we had 15 years ago. So you can never get. It was bidded out for the world to see. And,
so it was bidded out also for all the other networks.
Yes.
Why not PTV4? PTV4, I
never,
believe is...
They did not join. They were asked to join.
Oh,
of course,
okay.
they gave a very high figure. That's on record. Because we were scouting for budgetary estimates. They gave a very high one. You know what IBC gave? It was even lower than PTV4. And PTV4 had that contract for the last 10, 15 years.
Oh, that's why this was even cheaper, the
Cheaper.
IBC 13.
Cheaper. A lot cheaper.
But kailangan pa bang i-broadcast on TV compared to like going online? Because now everyone's
Free
practically
TV,
connected.
I think it's
Facebook.
part of our guidelines. It has to be free TV.
Nasa guidelines pa siya ng PCSO.
Again, maybe because it was never nakita na online would be this prolific or widespread.
Do you plan to change the guidelines considering that now you can use Facebook and YouTube and not have to spend so much?
Well, there's no cost in Facebook, actually.
Yes, exactly.
So, but you need redundancy. I think we have to go to redundancy. And because you don't have Cignal every time, but free TV is there without any cost. So I think it's very minimal compared to the security and the integrity that will project.
Do you feel that there are sometimes like conscious efforts to attack or malign PCSO?
Well, yes, because it's a political office. No? And for us, this is my principle in life. If when you're in public office, you cannot prevent people from throwing mud at you. Your challenge is not to make it stick. So it's really, it's par for the course. When you're in government, take it. But you have to prove it that it's not true. And when I say prove it, you don't really have to go the extra mile. Show them, because most of these allegations are brought about by misinformation.
Well, since we're talking about criticisms, last year you filed a libel case against Claire Contreras, also known as Maharlika, but this was filed in the United States.
Yes.
What is the status of that case now?
It's ongoing. We're now in the period of discovery. They call it. It's very different in the in the Philippines.
The modes of discovery as well. They have that which we don't have. The depositions.
In fact, you can't file a criminal case there because only the state can file unless you found something in the discovery. So that's the only thing I can do and think about to civilly respond to the outrageous allegations. Because then if you really try to walk the talk, if you believe that, it's very easy to accuse, very easy. But again, allegation is not proof. But if the only objective is to get views, then she is very successful. The problem is that it also boils down to credibility. If you do not prove any, then you got your sugar rush, and then look how your sugar will drop, which is more dangerous.
Were you able to discuss or talk directly with Maharlika since you're at that stage of discovery when it comes to the case filed in the U.S.?
Oh, my lawyers are there. My lawyer's a very popular lawyer. He's the lawyer of Johnny Depp, Camille Vasquez. And so I think they're doing that for us. We don't have to be there unless it goes to trial, and I hope it goes to trial. Right now we're getting all this, and then after that will be deposition.
But would you know if Maharlika has hired a lawyer and has responded to the request
yes,
for
she has,
discovery?
Yes, and I hope it's already a year, more than a year, so I hope it finds a resolution.
And
This is on the way.
prefer that this goes to trial? What if, let's say, Maharlika offers to
If she
just
begs.
reconcile? Would you be open to that?
Well, let's see to what extent she's willing to I don't know, undo what she has done. This is really crazy. This is really the worst that I have seen ever because of the ability that technology has offered. Just because you can, you shouldn't just do that. Just because you can. And the problem with the mudslinging, I even call it dung slinging. If I counter that with the same what was thrown at you, you'll have your hands dirty too. So
Yeah.
it's really,
Well, you said earlier that if you're a public official, it's par for the course. You expect criticisms to be there, the mudslinging, and the thing is just to make sure that the mud doesn't stick. Do you
well,
think
that
na
is not
pag-
the official, but she even published the photo of my minor daughter. So that one is really, really. I think that's beyond my job. I'm saying that if it's about my job, let me clarify that. If it's in my job, related to my job, can you imagine even my face? What does it have to do with my job? But even my face, all personal things that are unfounded, even telling that I hired a killer to kill her. My goodness. I'm into life saving the whole of my life. I was even the founder of the pro-life party list, Buhay. I cannot imagine doing that. The facts do not just add up. I'm into saving lives every single day in PCSO. So,
So that's something that was crossed. Kaya you ended up filing
Oh,
a
yes,
case because
yes.
it went beyond
yes,
your
but
job.
beyond
Became
my
too
job.
personal ba?
Yeah, and it's really baseless. Even if it's my job, I know how to handle that. But my daughter, who's a minor, has nothing to do with it, and you published it. My wife, what do they have to do? And they're all lies, of course. Now let's see if you can stand scrutiny of what you claim. This is the only way.
Well, how do you manage the pressure of leading an agency constantly under public and media scrutiny? Paano nyo hinahandle din yung mga bashers? But before you answer that question, we'll have to take a short break. At the Forefront, we'll be right back. Welcome back at the Forefront. GML, how do you manage the pressure of leading an agency constantly under public and media scrutiny, and also the bashers? Paano yung hinahandle ang bashers?
Well, number one, I'm expecting that because this is a lead agency for charity, the social arm of the government and of the president, and they should really be vigilant with the funds that we handle. I like that when people become vigilant. But also, I always remind the bashers that, look, while you're bashers, you've criticized us, I want to assure you that our charity work extends even to bashers. So I tell them that, don't worry, we will not choose whether you're a basher or not. But as long as you need help, we will help.
So talaga tanggap nyo rin, kahit yung mga bashers.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay.
They can even win if they buy
Oo.
tickets.
Ano yung pinakamalalang bashing that you received?
Well, for the agency, it's like saying really wild things that there is a hacker in another warehouse. That's one of the biggest lie that I heard. Because as I've said, it's a live draw. So nobody can interfere with that. It's mechanic. It's air.
Yeah.
In fact, untouched by human hands. That's the wildest. And if the intention is to discourage the players or even to lower the charity, well, that's very cruel. We help 300,000 individuals, more than maybe 350 individuals. And they all rely on the earnings of PCSO. Luckily, we have rebounded. I'm not saying we weren't affected, but for a while we were affected. But we just showed them, we will do what we have to do.
For a while, it really affected the sales of the tickets?
Because it was an hysteria. So, but we were able to rebound.
So that's why you consider it one of the worst bashings?
Yeah,
because
because
it had an impact talaga on
But
PCSO
the thing
sales.
is, I've been sending out invitations. In fact, anybody can come and be a witness for as long as, well, you have clearances. Kasi baka manggulo ka ron eh. But, diba,
Yeah.
if you're just a citizen, just want to watch this, tell us in advance, we'll vet you kasi baka mamaya, guluhin mo yun eh. No?
Well, personal po, meron na bang, what's the worst criticism you've received that was personally targeted against you?
None.
Okay.
How I take it,
Yeah.
I've been in government before. That's why, I'm a little dense when it comes to these matters, especially when it's not true.
Okay,
in
you're
my
used
job-
to handling
in my
it.
job, yeah,
Yeah.
in my job.
Well, recently over the weekend, your name was dragged again. You were being criticized in relation to a 14 billion peso COA flag fund issue. But this happened during the term of former PCSO Chief Royina Garma. Bakit nadamay po kayo ng yung ngayon, yung PCSO management now?
Wala kaming ganyan. I will assure you, we don't have a COA observation or disallowance. Kaya, syempre, I'm here. It is easier to say that, yes, indeed, COA, the agency had, but not during my time.
Not during your time. And this was being compared to the confidential funds of Vice President Sara. The fact that it was spent, though, in a few days, the 125 million, but they said that this is worse because this is 14 billion pesos that was allegedly spent faster. But do you know if merong nang na-file na case or if there's
in fact,
any?
Yeah,
Because
that
normally,
one
di ba,
being
for
compared
government
to-
agencies, even if it happened in the past, sometimes you get, as the agency itself, you get like the
If
summons,
it
you
can
get
be
copies.
explained, we will explain.
Yeah.
But if it cannot, then it becomes the obligation of the head of the agency.
Yeah. So far, at least, it's not affecting the current
No,
PCSO.
not at all. So, well, sabi nga, it's the forefront agency, and the best political attack would be to create a scandal. It's always that one. So we should be able to explain that, like what we're saying now. Yes, there probably was, but not during our time.
Well, you were awarded as one of the best performing GOCCs. Have there been any reforms that you have in mind to sustain what PCSO is doing right now?
Well, thank you for mentioning that. These are the things that we have to tell them, that the GCG, Governance Commission on Government Corporation, have very stringent standards. No? Everything is measurable, observable, quantifiable. Hindi pwedeng chismis. Even my attendance to the board meetings are being monitored. Our obligations, our payments, our targets, it is very detailed. In fact, I said the line agency should have this. They're our big brother. They look at us. And rightfully so, I think it's helpful. It's urging us to excel. Give you an example. Before we came, the score of PCS was about 53 from their score.
Out of
year,
100?
Yes.
Pasang
Last
awa.
year,
hindi nga pasado
we have
sa iba. Yeah.
98.2.
98.2.
Yes.
How did you manage to increase it to that rate? Ano yung mga ginawa niyo pong reforms?
We just stuck to what should be done. Of course, we have to communicate to everybody that, look, we are being watched. the thing about GCG is that tell us what your goals are, your objectives are, and then we'll measure you on the basis of your targets. So we were the ones who put this. So we should be able to achieve this. That's how they do it. Oh, what are your goals here? You set up the goals and achieve them. Once you get them...
So you set your own, like what they call
But of course, supervise.
KPIs, yung key performance indicators.
But they supervise. But if you put it too low, hey, you're playing it. Yeah? You're gaming the standards. So they have to look at it. And then once agreed, okay, now we work towards that. So I think we were able to do that for 2 years in a row now.
Yeah, that's
So-
amazing. Are you setting a standard for increasing your sales of sweepstakes?
Yes. Of course, there are some challenges. You have the taxation, you have our oversight agencies, but we're still like, for example, we're coming up, which is already approved, by the way, of our oversight agency. We're coming up with a new game. It's called Lotto Bilyonaryo.
What is that about? O bagay dito yun, GML, Bilyonaryo.
Oo nga pala, no? No, it's like, actually we have noticed that the jackpots, the minimum guaranteed jackpot, have been there for a long time. Inflation. People are not excited with 5 million anymore. That's our lowest, 4.9 million. So we thought of maybe we could make something for Bilyonaryo. No, really.
Yeah.
Like you bet 100 pesos, gives you a chance to win 1 billion. So where are we at? We have the legal approvals. We're now buying our machines because it will require a different draw machines. It takes 6 months to order that. And then once we launch, we hope to launch it here. Why not?
Oh yes,
Why
that would
not?
be
Why
perfect.
not?
Oo, di
Why
ba?
not launch it here?
But GML, pagka ba nagkaroon itong bagong game, the payment would be online na. I mean, it would be
I hope.
accessible.
I
Kasi,
hope.
di ba, that's the biggest
I
thing.
hope.
If you have to go somewhere to
Saka sana
buy
yung
physically.
OFW, sabi nila, they want to, for good, settle for good. So they might want to bet.
Yeah, that's
we
true.
hope. That is our hope.
Yeah, kasi that will help a lot if you're, let's say, an OFW and you win.
For good
Then
na.
that's a good reason
For
to
good,
go
yeah.
home and be with your
Yes,
family.
yes.
Yeah, so we wish you luck in that. Any estimate as to when this can happen?
Oh, within the year. We're looking at within the year.
Within the year.
Probably Christmas. It's a
Oh,
good
wow,
time.
maganda. Yes,
It's a good
yeah.
time. Probably before Christmas. So we'll launch it here.
And what can we expect from PCSO for the remaining 3 years under this administration?
We intend to fulfill the vision of the president to make this country a little better before we came in. We would like to extend help, charity, and medical assistance to make life easier for our countrymen. We want to be a part of that, and we're doing it. We're at the forefront of it. And I hope that the people will realize that we have a very hard-working president. He's really the one pushing us to achieve these goals. While it's very little, but we are agile. We can move very fast in terms of disaster, faster than maybe all the others.
That's
Because
good to hear, yeah.
we're repositioned there. I have my agents all over the country. So it's easier. It's a phone call to respond to disasters. This is our strength, one of our strengths.
Well, PCSO is the only agency that is advocating for responsible
Yes.
gambling. What is your message to the public, especially dun sa mga gumagamit ng scatter or those other illegal gambling games? Ano
Well-
po yung message nyo sa kanila?
Well, it's easy to make money from gaming. That's a fact. That's why a lot of people are lured. But, it's also very dangerous once you get addicted to it. It destroys the family. It destroys your livelihood. And then, in fact, you might be even urged to commit a crime, which is the saddest part in gaming. That's why we're really heavy on responsible gaming. We have to look at this as an entertainment only. If it becomes a livelihood, a source of income, then you're hooked already because it was never meant to be. And that we really hope that all other agents would join us to remind people to be responsible in gaming. it's against what you stand for because you're supposed to make more money. But as we see it, it's really a delicate balance that we should tread, that entertainment should balance also your control. When does it become irresponsible? When you're ready and it becomes destructive to your job, to your family, to your livelihood. Because others are already using their
Yung savings
capital,
nila,
and
yeah.
the savings, and we also heard of others, the retirees, pawning their ATM cards.
Ano mo, yun ang malungkot.
And it's happening.
Yeah, and we're hearing also may mga iba daw na taxi drivers that just abandon their taxis
Yes.
because they're unable to make their boundary because
Yes.
nagamit na nila
Yes.
sa betting,
Yes,
sa mga
there was
online.
one I heard. Every time there's a stoplight, the driver makes a bet and plays with that game. So it's really sad. We shouldn't. I assure you, we should learn from all the rest that the disadvantages, the ills outweigh the benefits. Definitely.
Well, for PCSO, lastly, ano ang message nyo po to say na sweepstakes is the better option?
Well, only because there is charity. That even if you might not win, if you lose, you still help people. That is a very good, for me, that is a good redeeming act. And that you know that you have helped others. That's what we try to inform the public that, look, this is what we're doing. Gaming is our tool, it's not our end. Gaming is a means for us to conduct charity to help the people.
Okay, I like that, GML. At least kung, let's say, bumili ka ng lotto ticket tas natalo ka, naisip mo na lang, nag-donate ka to someone na nangangailangan.
Again, a slogan for that.
Yeah.
Sa bawat taya, may kawang gawa.
Oh, that's very good. Thank you so much, GML Robles, and thank you for your time today. Good luck with that new game that you plan to launch. We look forward to that.
Thank you very much, Karen.
The PCSO continues to walk the line between public service and public scrutiny. With programs expanding and issues lingering, the agency remains a focal point in the country's conversations on transparency and compassion. In the end, its true measure lies in how well it serves the people, beyond the headlines and social media noise. Be timely informed, be insightful of the news. Always stay at the forefront. Join us again tomorrow for deeper insights on the geopolitical and economic implications of the Iran-Israel conflict as dissected by political and economic experts. This is Attorney Karen Jimeno. Thank you for spending your hour with us.